This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. And it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along once again. What a week it has been in the UK. You know we love to talk about the weather. Well, we have had some this week. Started off the week with snow and sub-zero temperatures, which is pretty unusual for us in November. And now, as I record this, there's a gale blowing outside and it's up to a balmy 14 degrees. The UK. You've got to love it. So this week, I got an official email telling me that my WWE Network subscription will be officially no more in my area as of January, and telling me to get Netflix for the exclusive home of the WWE in the UK. Well, obviously, I knew this was coming. It's been coming for ages, but no more network feels quite final, the end of an era. Anyway, it looks like I will be able to get rid of my TNT Sports subscription, so at least that'll save me a few quid. And as I already have Netflix, double win. So apologies if I sound a little bit stuffy. I've got a cold. Boo-hoo, poor me. But I will push through. And let's get on with it and dive into the review of this week's SmackDown, which came from Salt Lake City in Utah. And I gotta say, it looked absolutely gorgeous from the opening shot of SmackDown. Beautiful city with some lovely mountains in the rear of the shot. Looks absolutely lovely. So tonight's show opens up with a reminder of the Survivor Series face-off between the OG Bloodline and the New Bloodline. And we get some footage of last week where we got the introduction of Bronson Reed to the New Bloodline and his beatdown to the OG Bloodline. I guess this week, at least I hope, we get something official on the fifth man in the OG Bloodline. I'm still thinking Seth, but you never know. In trips we trust. We also get reminded that Roman tried to call the wise man and couldn't reach him. So I'm thinking hopefully he's managed to get him via LinkedIn or Facebook or something this week. He must have more means of getting in touch with him than just that. We now get our first live action of the night, and we get the New Bloodline, which includes Bronson Reed coming out to the ring. We get a reminder from Cole that the OG Bloodline are outgunned and are still a man down. The New Bloodline throw up the ones but get booed as always, and the crowd chant for the OTC. As always, it's now become a tradition. The crowd declines Solo's request to acknowledge him, and he says we are 1 week away from WarGames and him and his team are ready to dominate. He says the OG Bloodline aren't ready, and Roman isn't even there yet. Solo calls Roman out to the ring before the end of the night to accept the terms of his surrender, where the OG Bloodline can acknowledge him. Well, I can't see that happening. Even Cole says that. I'm guessing that later tonight we're going to get the reveal of the fifth man and maybe the wise man. We get a reminder then of what's coming up tonight. We've got face-to-face of Cody and KO. And we've also got a tag match, which will be Bayley and Naomi versus Tiffany and Candice. And we also have LA Knight defending his US title against Santos Escobar. To get back to the action, we have Bianca Belair making her way to the ring, and seeing as she is without Jade, we revert back to the hair swinging, skipping down to the ring. She's coming to take part in the match for the US title first round. She's going to be facing Chelsea Green and Blair Davenport in their bracket. So Blair Davenport gets a pretty quiet reaction and Chelsea gets a decent one. Corey talks up Chelsea Green, saying that he agrees with her and that she should just be presented with the title. As we kick off the match, we get Chelsea going for a quick cover on Blair. We then get Bianca trying the same thing on Chelsea and Blair trying the same thing on Bianca, with all women trying to get a quick win. Bianca gets to be in control first of all with a standing moonsault and another cover on Chelsea. And the crowd, I noticed here, are really, really behind Chelsea. And she manages to get a quick 2 cover, which is interrupted by Blair Davenport. I don't know how the commentary team are coping here, because Blair Davenport and Bianca Belair is really difficult to keep saying over and over and over. So well done for them. I've certainly tripped over it like a million times while I was trying to record this. Anyway, cover is interrupted by Blair, who wallops Chelsea and follows up by tying Bianca's hair round the bottom rope and jumps, they call it a double stomp, from the top onto Belair's back while she's tied up, and we go for a break. In comms, Cole mentions that Blair has been absent from TV for a while, saying that Blair wanted to rest. I thought that's quite unusual. We don't normally reference people just being away from TV if they're not injured or suspended or it's part of the story. We haven't in the past ever just been made aware, oh, so-and-so's just been off and they wanted a rest. So that's something else quite interesting. As we come back from the break, we have all 3 women back in the ring. Bianca is still in charge. Chelsea down. She has Blair in the corner. Chelsea comes back and hits a Rough Rider on Bianca. And Chelsea lands somehow accidentally on Blair and almost gets a 3 count. Belair then manages to get both women stacked up for a double German suplex and goes to cover Blair, who kicks out. And Chelsea now looking for an unpretty hurt on Bianca, but she powers out. Chelsea sidesteps the charging Bianca, and then we get Bianca going straight into the ring post. Chelsea hits a superplex on Blair, but before she can capitalise, Bianca then hits a 450 off the top and lands on Blair, but the pin is broken by Chelsea, who tries to nick the pin, but Belair pulls her out. Bianca goes to try to pin Blair again, but as she does, we get some footage and some audio pop up on the Jumbotron of a bloodied and beaten Jade Cargill, who looks like she's been thrown through the windscreen of a car backstage. This distracts Bianca, who seems to be in 2 minds for about a nanosecond, who then leaves the ring, so abandons her US title opportunity to go and help her tag team partner, leaving Chelsea and Blair to it. Blair hits a big super kick, but Chelsea manages to hit the unpretty her on Blair and gets the victory. The crowd were 100% behind Chelsea throughout this match, and I felt like it was pretty representative of the general feeling amongst all of the fans, certainly everyone I speak to on a day-to-day basis. I don't think we really wanted to see Bianca and Jade both win their respective heats and face off. That feels a bit old. So I'm really pleased to see Chelsea through in this tournament, and I would love to see her walk away as the new champ. She is very deserving. She's done a great job. So let's see how this plays out. Remembering we already have Bayley through, it's shaping up well. And now with the added mystery, quote unquote, who took out Jade, Nia, Liv, PFC, I'm guessing this will somehow circle back to the Survivor Series match, but all in all, a good start to the show. Really enjoyable. As we come back from the break, we are backstage with the Bianca and Jade situation. Bianca goes off with Jade in the ambulance, and Nick Aldis, or Oblivion the Gladiator as we know him, tells the officials to go and find out what happened, and Cole says we may get an update later on. We get our next action as LA Knight is making his way to the ring to a huge pop as always, and he will defend his title against Santos Escobar. And a reminder before the match that Shinsuke Nakamura returned last week and took out LA Knight. Will we see Shin again tonight? I very much hope so. Out comes Santos with the rest of Legado del Fantasma. The two guys are sent to the back by Santos. Corey lets us know that Santos feels that Knight ducked him last week by taking on Berto. Just before the bell's about to ring, we get a pretty sinister video where Shinsuke again speaking in his native tongue but with subtitles on the bottom of the screen, which I think is a great way of presenting Shinsuke. Tells Knight he's been watching him and now he knows him better than he knows himself. He says he sees him riddled with insecurities and that he is right to be, as this is the beginning of the end for him. Whilst we are watching that video, Santos blindsides Knight and starts beating him down before the bell has even rang. Santos is straight onto the attack, but Knight pops up with a massive clothesline, and Santos flies over the top and takes Knight out as we go for the break. And as we come back, both men are back in the ring. Santos still with the upper hand. Knight manages to turn things around briefly, but Santos, with a shoulder and a massive kick to the head, goes for the cover, but Knight kicks in too. Santos with a submission hold on Knight doesn't seem to be up to much in particular, and he manages to fight out quite easily with a slingshot shoulder tackle on Santos and a massive clothesline. Knight gets the 2 cover after a neck breaker. Santos now back in charge, has Knight in the corner, but Knight headbutts Santos to the mat and is just about to finish off Santos when Shinsuke appears on the ramp looking absolute peak villainous. And this is enough to allow Santos to hit a Hurricane on Knight, followed by a frog splash. But instead of covering Knight, Santos goes for one more move, which is countered into the BFT, and Knight covers him for the win and retains. Before any opportunity to celebrate, though, we get Shinsuke into the ring, and he starts quite brutally beating down on Knight, and Santos gets out of their PDQ pretty damn quick, as Shin absolutely destroys Knight, particularly focusing on his shoulder. The crowd are letting Shinsuke know that they are not happy, and off he goes, slinking out of the ring. I'm absolutely loving this new Shinsuke and this whole angle. He looks totally badass. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes as Shin gets more and more into the head of Knight. I have to say, Knight defo looks spooked during the video at the start of the match, and he was definitely put off by Shinsuke appearing on the ramp midway through his match as well. So again, absolutely banging angle, loving it. Corey and Cole on comms, both saying that they haven't seen this kind of darkness in Shinsuke, and how far could this go? Really is brilliant stuff. We then go back to last week and we see what happened between the Motor City Machine Guns and the Street Profits, and of course Ciampa going mad and shoving Johnny down to the mat, and where that will all go. We then have Johnny backstage with the Motor City Machine Guns, trying to apologise for Ciampa's actions last week, saying that everything could be resolved if they could only have a title shot. The Motor City Machine Guns, quite rightly, tell Johnny they think the next shot should go to the Street Profits due to what happened last week. Street Profits then turn up and say after they deal with Ciampa tonight, they will take the titles. And as we leave that scene, Johnny is still desperately trying to, I guess, suck up to the Motor City Machine Guns, saying that Ciampa is emotional, but he is a good guy. We then see the OG Bloodline arrive, and they all have back on the old school t-shirts, even the old Sammy Uso one. Absolutely love it. Lovely touches. Next up, we have Nia backstage with Nick, and he is asking if she knows anything about what happened to Jade. Nia says of course not. She seems quite offended. She wants to take Jade out at WarGames. He then goes and grabs Cody en route to the ring, and he says no one has seen Kevin. He doesn't think he's even there tonight. Cody tells him not to fall for that and heads out to a huge pop again. I know I said this maybe last week or the week before, but I'm loving the flow and different interactions we're getting these days. Like, I feel like it's completely believable that Nick, as GM, is having a conversation with Nia about something that happened earlier in the night, and just before he finishes that interaction, he sees another wrestler that he really needs to speak to, so he goes and talks to them, and it all kind of flows. I think it's just the little things, right? But it's all making it flow really nicely. So again this evening we get a shrunken down entrance from Cody, and he has the mic and looks pumped and ready to face KO. He says, you know who's not here? Randy's not here. But he doesn't believe KO isn't, so he demands that he comes out right now. After a bit of waiting around, KO does come out through the crowd, and he says he's a little bit insulted. He was summoned by the great Cody Rhodes, and he is there wearing his best outfit. And by best outfit, he's got one of those dodgy t-shirts on with a dinner jacket suit printed on the front. Cost about $5.99 from, like a pound shop or something. Anyway, so he says he's wearing his best outfit, and Cody isn't even wearing his stupid politician suit. I actually laughed out loud to myself then, and I thought Matt will definitely appreciate that line from KO, I'm sure. Cody says he was summoned to be in the ring, not in the crowd. KO says he won't be used to this, but he isn't getting told what to do by Cody. KO says, "You want to fight me? Why don't you tell me why you're so upset?" So it's all Cody's fault why all this stuff has happened. He says because for 4 years he fought the Bloodline. He tried to end his career, blah, 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 blah. Then Cody came back, KO stood beside him, and even tried to help Cody finish his story, which he says in a really kind of Mickey-taking way. But then Cody had the audacity to team with Roman, and that's why everything is Cody's fault. That seems tenuous. Cody says that KO needs to be a victim, and no one holds KO down more than KO. He says he self-sabotages every time, and while he's been fixating on being a victim, he has had massive success, which everyone knows, apart from KO. Cody says that KO couldn't pull the trigger on him at Bash in Berlin, but he pulled the trigger on the wrong guy by using an illegal pile driver on Randy, who is a real legend. Cody says his lesson is coming, it won't be on a microphone. KO then replies, says the fight will happen, but when he's ready. He says he hates Cody. Cody says he doesn't think Cody hates him, he thinks he hates himself. And now there isn't a single line Cody won't cross when they get to their match. So I think this should be a really awesome match when it happens. Are we thinking Survivor Series, or is that a bit soon? Will it be drawn out a bit longer? As Cole quite rightly said, and I'm paraphrasing here, you can't reason with a crazy person, and it certainly seems like KO's completely lost the plot in storyline mode this time. So the match should definitely be off the charts. When it happens, we know both these guys can go. So very much looking forward to that whenever that happens. We then go to Roman and the OG Bloodline backstage. Sammy is saying we won't surrender, and the guys all agree. They still need a fifth, but Sammy's all out of ideas. Roman turns down the idea of Cody Rhodes and also Seth. He says they don't need anyone else. Everyone that matters is here. He says they don't need anybody, and they all agree. But there doesn't seem to be a plan, which is probably the first time we've ever heard Roman admit that he doesn't actually have a plan. We now have Bayley coming out for a tag match. She is going to be teaming with Naomi against Tiffany and Candice. My first thoughts here is, will Candice and Tiffany be able to get along for long enough to be able to tag together? I don't think so. Before the match, though, we get Cody walking backstage, and Carmelo is talking to Vinci. Haven't seen him for weeks. Glad he's not dead. Carmelo says is saying, loudly, but to Vinci, it's a good job someone is telling the truth to Cody. Carmelo then steps up to Cody, and they have a bit of handbags before Nick Aldis, who is having a very busy night, comes and splits them up. Could we be having a Cody Carmella feud, or are they just using that as a vehicle to push the idea that everyone's mad at Cody for teaming with Roman? I'm not sure that works. I genuinely don't believe that in real life the locker room would really care, especially as it was a long time ago that they teamed. Well, it feels like a long time ago. Anyway, we'll see how that develops and where that goes. Back out to the ring now, and the entrance of Tiffany gets a massive pop. We get no separate music for Candice, which I guess firmly puts her in her place. And Nia, of course, comes out with them, probably more than anything to keep an eye on Tiffany. Early indications look to be that Tiffany and Candice won't get on, as they can't even agree who starts the match. We have Naomi in first with Tiffany, and it's Naomi who gets the early upper hand. Tiffany rolls out of the ring and literally hides behind Nia, which is very funny. And out of that, Tiffany and Candice both attack from behind Nia, which is all very good comedy stuff. Now we've got the heels with the upper hand. Candice tags Tiffany and goes for the double team, but misses. Naomi gets the tag to Bayley, and Bayley is absolutely tearing things up on the outside as we go for a break. As we get back, Bayley gets a quick cover on Tiffy, but she kicks out. Tiffy, with a powerful move, gets Bayley into the corner, and Candice makes a blind tag to Tiffany's objections, and now we have Candice and Bayley in the ring. Candice hits a moonsault on Bayley, and Naomi breaks up the pin. We've got Bayley in the corner, and Tiffy flips across the ring in one of her amazing gymnastic moves, but Bayley moves and is trying to get the tag, but Nia rips Naomi from the apron and smashes her into the barricade, causing a disqualification, meaning that we have a win via disqualification for Bayley and Naomi. And then we get Tiffy and Candice beating down Bayley in the ring, but obviously outnumbered. We get Io out to come and help, and then Io takes out Nia, but then we get Raquel and Liv show back up to the numbers, back in favour of the heels. And then, thankfully, we get Rhea's music hits, and out she comes with a kendo stick and basically takes out everybody. Really loving this build to the Women's WarGames match. It's got so many layers, so many separate rivalries all wrapped up into this one match. It's brilliant to see Rhea back so quickly. That was the spoiler that I alluded to last week that I'd accidentally seen, and I'm more excited about the Women's WarGames match than I have been in ages. It's just shaping up to be something really, really special, and with all the layers of stories intertwining, I think it's going to be something really great. Next up, we have the revenge match, I guess, between Montez Ford of Street Profits versus Tommaso Ciampa of DIY. This is a result of what happened in the title match last week. Ciampa has certainly had a head of rage this last week, so it should be quite interesting. As he comes out, he looks focused and mad as hell. Neither man have their tag team partner with them. And as we start off, Ford has the early upper hand, but Ciampa turns it round and things are pretty equal early on. Ford takes out Ciampa with a clothesline, followed by a step up enziguri, and Ford then flies over the top, taking Ciampa down. Ciampa then manages to kick Ford off the apron and into the announce desk as we go for the break. As we get back, Ford hits a powerbomb on Ciampa and follows up with multiple clotheslines and a back suplex. Ford has the upper hand and goes for a cover on Ciampa, but he kicks in two. Ciampa now with a kick to Ford as they go toe-to-toe in the middle of the ring. And Ciampa's pretty much no-selling everything here, and I'm not sure that we're supposed to believe that his rage is just making him, like superhuman or just, whatever. But I definitely think he's no-selling. Ciampa with a spinning neck breaker. Ford kicks in two. And he slips out, manages to slip out of the fairy tale ending. Ciampa is covered by a sneaky counter, which seemed to surprise everyone as Ford wins. Ciampa takes the loss and is absolutely furious, continues to beat down Ford. Dawkins obviously comes out to defend his partner, and that in turn brings out Johnny. Ciampa again shoves Johnny to the floor as the two seem to have some disagreements about how to handle the situation. Then the Motor City Machine Guns come out to defend Johnny. Ciampa leaves the ring and the ringside area asking Johnny, whose team are you on? So this continues to be a very interesting angle. I think this is going to go one of two ways. So will we get Johnny turning on the Motor City Machine Guns and realign with Ciampa, turning them heel? Or will we get the end of DIY and a Johnny Ciampa feud? I think it would be quite fun if we got Johnny and Ciampa staying together as heels, and then some triple threat matches between them, the Profits, and the Motor City Machine Guns, culminating in some kind of title match. We get some build up for next week's show. We've got Cody and Carmelo in a non-title match, thankfully. And the next round of the US title tournament, and we have a mystery opponent versus Michin and Piper Niven. I will say it quietly as I don't want to look an idiot, but Charlotte Flair, maybe, hopefully, let's see. It looks like Jade is out of the tournament, no real loss there. Not sure she brings much to the party yet as a singles competitor, so that should be interesting. Let's see who the mystery opponent is. We now go into the final segment of the evening, and we have Solo coming out with his new bloodline to allegedly accept Roman's surrender. They come down to the ring, throw the ones up again, plenty of booing, and out comes the OG Bloodline to a huge pop. They look like they mean business, as always, and looks like, first of all, we're going to get another brawl between the two groups, but Solo has the mic and says that he isn't here to fight. He still loves Roman, and he still loves all of them. I guess we include Sammy in that, which is nice. He wants them to join him, and he says if they do, they'll be able to run their company for decades. He says they have no fifth man and no wise man and basically no hope. They have to join Solo or they will die where they stand. Seems a bit dramatic. Roman is about to speak, and then we get the moment we've all been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, Heyman's back. He gets the pop of the night, absolutely off the scale, and he looks great. He's obviously dyed his hair and he's got a great tan. He's not wearing a shirt and tie, he's wearing a t-shirt and a jacket. He's looking awesome. And he says the math doesn't add up. You can't do WarGames 4 versus 5, so it will be 5 versus 5. We get a big pause. He points at the screen, and oh my god, we get Punk's music. Punk. CM Punk, guys. So I didn't have that. I had probably Seth, maybe Brock, but Punk I did not have. Now I do know that somebody, and I'm really sorry I didn't get your name, had mentioned this in the mailbag this week, that it may be Punk, and to be honest, I thought, you must be insane, that's never going to happen, but colour me surprised. We have Punk. He comes out, he looks awesome as well. He marches straight into the ring and starts absolutely smashing down on the Bloodline. And then we finally get the OG Bloodline getting the upper hand. Punk hits GTS as Roman hits a spear in perfect tandem. The crowd are going absolutely mad. They face each other in the ring with Heyman in the background. And wow. Just wow. What a show tonight, guys. Both WarGames matches shaping up beautifully. We have our fifth man. We have Punk. We have the wise man. Unbelievable. I said at the beginning, and I make notes as I go through the show. I don't adjust anything because I think it's more realistic. I said trust in Trips in my opening to my show tonight. And I'm so pleased we didn't get the obvious Seth through. We got a massive swerve as Heyman saves the day. He's back. Just completely awesome. I'm so excited. The women's match is shaping up brilliantly. As I said, I think that is going to be epic. I thought we were going to have to be forced into a break from Liv Rhea, but now that's going to continue as well, which I think is brilliant because I don't think we're done with that yet either. So, the Cody KO stuff, it's all just, absolutely wonderful storytelling, and I am very happy. I can't wait till next week's show, and then obviously we've got Survivor Series like the next day. So it's very exciting times. So all you guys listening in the US, I remember that it's Thanksgiving for you this next week. So have a wonderful celebration, a great time. Enjoy spending time with your families and friends. And that just about does it for this week. As always, thank you for having me in your ears. And until next time, remember, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.